Okay, all right, hello, good evening. Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary Edition Day 2. And so, actually spent a lot of time today working on this whole helicopter thing. So, tried to fly yesterday. I in the helicopter for the release, downloaded everything just fine. Loaded up the helicopter, got very excited about it, and then boom, crash and burn just constantly. Not a single successful flight, over and over again. Kept trying to take off, it would start doing this, and then literally like this, and then it would fall over. If I got it up any kind of altitude and went forward, it would start doing like that, and then basically nosedive or flip over. It was very frustrating. So what did I do? Well, I gave up. And then I flew the DC-3, which I fell in love with that yesterday. It's a great plane. I can't wait to take that up again. And then got up today and tried again. Spent another hour or so on it, just not making any progress. I had posted a thing on Microsoft Flight Simulator, the forums, but you know, you start getting, hey, it's your technique and all that kind of stuff. But then I noticed that there were a bunch of people that had basically were describing what I was describing, and then one guy said he had fixed it and he had done a procedure, and as I was waiting for him to get back, somebody else posted what they did. And so turns out what they did was, and this is in the description, they basically, so if you're having this problem where you just can't fly, it's impossible to fly. And normally you can fly helicopters. I even loaded up X-Plane today and I did great with that, so I knew something was going on. And so what I did was, the fix is you go all the way to the main menu, you get out of the helicopter, end it, go to the main menu, go to the flight model, change it from modern to legacy, full realistic, load the helicopter back up, you can fly it around, it should work. Then you load all the way back out again, end out of the flight, back to main menu, back to general settings, or options, general options, and then go back to the flight model, change it back to modern, apply and save, get out, and all that good stuff, and it works. It just works fine. So let me go ahead and take this up and see. So we're just on one of the helipads in New York, and so I'm excited about that, because I was on this yesterday, and there were a ton of people on it, and literally all I did in front of everybody was just crash. So spent some day after I got it fixed. I spent some time getting some things set up on my controllers, and I'm going to kind of just fly around. So you'll see a big difference. I did post a video of the behavior that I was describing, and so if you're seeing that, the fix is in that too. So let's try this out. So incredibly smooth. I don't have any of the assistant options on. This is all, so there's one for cyclic help and one for the rotor help, and I don't have any of that on. I mean, it's not the smoothest flying, but these are my mistakes. These are my errors. I'm going to try to do this in such a way that I'm going to try to fly coordinated. And anyway, so here we are. This is New York. That's from one of the helipads. I'll try to land at some point. I can land on a big field and I can do okay, but I need a lot of space. But landing on the helipad so far, I'm like 1 and 2. I've definitely missed it. So, and one thing I will say about this helicopter is it's quiet. So if I go to the outside, it's a lot louder. Good looking helicopter there. Back to the view, but this is, I mean, this is so much better. Do different views. I've got it all programmed on my joystick. This joystick that I have from WinWing, by the way, is an awesome joystick. I think it's a little bit cheaper than the purple stuff. Don't quote me on that. They may have lowered their prices. It's cheaper than the Thrustmaster stuff, I believe. But this is some pretty solid gear. Metal feels, it's got pretty good heft to it, and tons of buttons, and they all map. Every single one of them maps within Microsoft Flight Simulator. The only problem that you'll run into is that not everything you can click on is mappable, and that's frustrating. There's an airport over there, and we can maybe fly over there. Maybe go down closer to the water. But this is more like it. And I couldn't remember last night, but yes, I did add like one of the Dreamscape, I think is what it's called, lighting mods for New York. But this is nice. This is super nice. Much more smooth. What I'm wondering is, I also did a video today and I posted a few videos here. One was a video on, there's a lot of questions out there about people wanting to get into helicopters, but not wanting to drop a bunch of cash on the controllers. I don't blame them. What can you do for that? Well, you can definitely do this. I don't know if on the cheap is the right word, after your investment of the computer and everything and all that, but you can get just like a standard cheapy Thrustmaster or HOTAS system. I want to say I don't know if it's under $100, but it's around that, and you can completely control a helicopter with that, even if you don't have pedals. Add pedals and you're good to go. The only thing I think that's hard to replicate is not the collective, but the twisty part of the collective, which is the throttle. And that part is hard to replicate if you don't have specialized gear. I can kind of do like a down view there. There we go. I can't see the apartments and stuff really well. Let me head over towards that airport. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stay coordinated. This coordinated flight thing is, I haven't really tried that as much on the helicopters, but it makes a difference. So, but anyway, yeah, so you can get some pretty cheap gear and make the helicopters fun. I think the easiest way to do it would be a HOTAS system, because it's got the throttle for the left, joystick for the right, and when you release the throttle, it stays where it is. And the nice thing about that system is if you're also doing jets, that's basically the same setup, so that's pretty versatile. You could fly a Cessna that way, for that matter. You could, if you wanted to, you could get a lot of mileage out of that, but it would work especially well for helicopters. I also posted a video today on how to actually make all of your assignments. So it turns out that Microsoft, I made the video with kind of two ideas in mind. So I call them native and non-native helicopters, and that's probably not the best way to describe it, but that's how I described it. And the native helicopters would be like this one and the Bell 407. And what I mean by native is that it's using the proprietary built-in flight physics from Microsoft versus the Fly Inside and the High Performance Group, and I guess there's some other third-party helicopters that you end up installing like in the community folder, and they use their own either they're using their own flight dynamics like the Fly Inside does, or it's 100% tricking Microsoft Flight Simulator into thinking that it's just a plane and you're just doing like plane stuff. So anyway, so there's two different ways you can set up the gear, and I put a video out on that, and I go through some different things, and I'll put a little card up here to show how I do that. But basically, the easiest way would be to just program the rudder and the joystick like it's a Cessna 172. Assign your collective to throttle, and then the twisty thing on the collective would be assigned to propeller axis. That setup will actually work for the new or the native and the non-native helicopters. Having said that, there's also now a dedicated collective and cyclic axes that you can access. And here I'm flying over the airport. What am I flying over? LaGuardia. So you can, I'm not sure what their plan is, why have both work, what the advantage of setting one to collective versus ailerons, cyclic versus ailerons. I'm not sure what the advantage of doing that is, but I actually, on my controllers, I have multiple profiles, and so what I do is I do have it set up different profiles. I have one profile for the non-native and then a profile for the native helicopters. So I don't know if maybe at some point, what I'm wondering is if Fly Inside and High Performance Group, because they're great helicopters. I mean, the systems are awesome. That Bell 47 is amazing, and I love flying it. And I'm wondering, though, if it's the only thing I like about it is the way it takes so long to load if they do an update, like 10 minutes, which is ridiculous. But maybe they'll do some kind of thing where they will just start, instead of using their own flight dynamics, they'll just use Microsoft's. To me, that seems like that would be the way to go. Yeah, this is nice. That screen, kind of zoom in on it a little bit, is you can pop that out, and I do actually have that on one of my external monitors, and I'm using that as kind of almost like an air manager thing. There's also where the radio display is, that's a multi-function display, and it can do mapping, and it's kind of neat. So I have that popped out. When I do these videos, I end up losing out on some screen space where I would normally have Air Manager. I have like OBS or my YouTube, the studio part for the stream. Let's go take a look, see how low I can get without crashing. And of course, with helicopters, every time you make a setting change on one control, you almost always have to on the other. I'm not doing a very good job of staying coordinated. If you're a helicopter pilot, I would love to hear how that works in terms of coordinated, how similar it is to like a general aviation, like a Cessna or something like that. I'd love to take a helicopter lesson. Even if it was just like an introductory or a couple of lessons, just to get my mitts on one of those things and try it out. But yeah, this is nice, and of course the scenery is beautiful. I like the flying at night part. Right around 2,500. I didn't do anything like check the barometer or anything to see But according to ForeFlight, I am 1700 feet AGL, so I'll go with that. That's GPS based. So I can kind of look down. Yeah, I've got some pretty cool mappings on on the Windwing joystick. So the detail is just outstanding. Now this particular helicopter, I guess, I don't know much about it. It's known as a training helicopter. Supposedly pretty stable. I have not tried the 407 since I've applied this fix that I told you guys about. So I'll have to see. But I like this one because you just got a good field of vision and it's like a sightseeing helicopter. Now, of course, as I'm pulling up on the collective, I'm having to add right anti-torque pedal. Maybe not enough because I'm still not coordinated. Yeah, this is just awesome. And what I may do is I may fly around here for a little bit more, and then like I did last night, maybe go to Chicago and maybe spawn at MiGs. I was definitely one of the guys from, I can't say I started this in 1982, but it was pretty close. And I do remember some of the early where Chicago was just like 2 or 3 almost like just sticks that were supposed to be skyscrapers. And definitely Meigs Field, the takeoff point. I probably put in a few hours on those for sure. But I think they knocked it out of the park with this update. I just hope they do some kind of formal hotfix or something for that bug where you couldn't fly the helicopters. And it was very frustrating because when you try to get help about it, and I understand where people are coming from, that just the instinct was, well, you don't know how to fly helicopters, or it's your technique, you got to do a light touch. And when you're like, I'm doing all of that, and it just literally crashes within 5 to 10 seconds, it's, you know, that's definitely frustrating. So yeah, I can do all my scene. One thing that's different, or not one, you know, one of the things that's different. There's a bunch of stuff different between this and flying, say, the Cessna or whatever. This is very hands-on. It's hard to I can let go of the collective. I can do that. But the joystick, if I let go of it, it will cause some problems. Now, I do think there is some kind of ability to trim on these. I don't know if that's true in real life. I don't know that much about it. But I would say that this is a little more like you can't just like relax. And my right foot is definitely digging into the anti-torque. Whereas with a lot of the planes, once you get up, you can kind of, you're not having to do as much right rudder. as you get up and achieve, straight and level flight, those left turning tendencies are, kind of diminished, and you don't have to worry about it so much. We're just kind of heading back towards that helipad. I may try to land on it. We'll see. Just crash. Like I said, I'm not getting it to a very certain spot within, feet. To me is really hard. That's the challenge. And that's not a bug. That is me for sure. See if I just to kind of get a different grip. Now this does have an auto throttle, and I do have it engaged. The bell is nice because it also has the ability to use throttle or have it a governor auto throttle. And you can really see just how complex it is. To me, that's very hard. Actually using the twisty grip throttle. I mean, there's so much going on. See a few planes out tonight. Everything is live. There you can see the helipad. I will really try not to crash, but no promises. Now it's not one of the hard parts to me about it is that it's just hard to see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of left pedal, but then kind of lean the helicopter to the right and see if I can't line up with that without turning. I'm just kind of slipping in, then bringing it back, and then slowly tilting back up. But see how you lose sight of stuff? Like I can see it there. Nope, not happening. It's hard when you spin it around. course, somebody's just taking off. This is hard. I'm actually spinning around on purpose. There's another helicopter up here too. What are the tips? How do you do this? Okay, let me go across the river. The problem is it's like right under me, and then I can't see it. So I'm going to try to do, like, just kind of slide in a little bit. I thought I was being all slick at first. All right, there it is. I know you got to tilt nose up to slow down. Oh man, not happening. I guess that makes me like 1 in 4. All right, let's try this again. But now I want to go to MIGs. So let me load this up. It won't take very long. Dang it. All right. And there it is, where it all began. All right, let's see how this looks. So, spent quite a bit of time in Chicago. Lived there for about 8 or 9 years. I was a paramedic there. And actually went to the Chicago Fire Academy. Let's see how this looks. This helicopter loads up pretty quick. I feel like with the Bell 47, sometimes I've like booted it up and it just sticks and doesn't go anywhere. Although this has done that on me too. It did it to me today where it loaded and then it just kind of stopped. And then I had to reboot and it seemed to do just fine. So hopefully it's not doing that right now. So, there we go. I have not done a cold dark. Well, I guess we learn something new every day. And there's that. And let's see. Get it going here. Do this pop out? But it's not going yet, so what we'll do is we'll do the checklist. Okay, so cockpit checklists. Flight controls free and clear, collective. We got that. We can go tick, tick. Before starting the engine, fuel shutoff valve open. Where is the fuel shutoff valve? It is on. All switches are off. Carb master is on. And it is on. Cold engine start. Fuel on board. Check. Governor off. And that's on the end of the stick. I have that actually set. Governor light. Check off mixture full rich. Aha. Mixture is full rich. I also have that bound to a thing. So starting the engine. Strobe is on. Fuel pressure check increasing. Fuel pump on. And we did turn that on. Fuel pressure check increasing. And let's see. Looks like that is going up. Magneto on. And plasma on. Here we go, starter. And there we go. Let's see. All this is going on. Throttle idle. I'm going to go ahead and so that is actually my first cold start on this helicopter, which is weird. I'm not quite sure why it did a cold start. So we can kind of see here. Oh, I think what we have to do is set the rotor brake. Did I miss something? Throttle roll going green part. Set throttle level to get in R. And let's go back. Plasma starter, cold engine, warm engine. Oil pressure, annunciator. Let's see. Why am I not getting any RPMs? Is it because of the clutch? Mixture, antenna set. flashlight there. And then that comes back on. Clutch. Aha. That's what I bet it was. Clutch. Yep, there we go. That's what it was. You got to be 10% smarter than the equipment you use. Got the governor on now. Let's see what happens. Not supposed to be like that, so I should anticipate in advance that there's a big need for right rudder or right anti-torque. It's not a rudder. So that is only the second time I've ever had to use the check. Well, so this is the second aircraft rather that I've used the checklist on. I definitely used it for the DC-3, which I thought was going to be really hard. It's the first big plane that I've flown. So that actually came in handy. Just puzzling though, why did it ask me to do that? So again, Dreamscape for Chicago for sure. I call this the Rave City because it definitely, the Dreamscape stuff makes Chicago look very ravish. We'll get a little bit closer over there. But yeah, that was neat. But again, super smooth flight. Very smooth flight. And compared to what was going on earlier, so whoever figured this out in the Microsoft Flight Forums, the fix for this helicopter, please, you are the best. So I think it makes Chicago look very cartoonish. So I've got some new instruments here that I'm not used to. This coordinator on the top left, if it's like a general aviation, and it seems to be in terms of keep your feet, step on the ball, and then the gauge that's part of that, but above it looks like it's some type of tilt gauge. And I guess I'm supposed to keep that ball where it is, and then at the same time keep that, and I guess that's the equivalent of coordinated flight. So you can see O'Hare over there. Let's fly over to the airport and see what's going on over there. See, like I would like to reach over and like open up the VFR map, but if I let go of this joystick, then it's just gonna flop back to the middle. Now WinWing, who makes this joystick, has a set of, there's some type of cam that you can install in the base of the, right here where I'm pointing, you can install in the base, and what it does is it keeps tension, like it doesn't, the joystick's not floppy, but wherever you let it go, I believe it just stays where it is. Now that'll be pretty cool, and I do think I am going to order that, because it would definitely make this a lot easier especially if I wanted to multitask. I mean, I guess I could just hit the escape button and on pause like that, or do bind some key for the active pause. But you know, it would just be nice to not have to do that, to keep it real time. Get a little bit lower. I like flying over the neighborhoods. Chicago has really cool visuals because you're just right in the neighborhoods right when you leave the downtown part. New York is cool too, but the neighborhoods look, I think, a little bit neater. And you can see, there we go, more coordinated. There's kind of a look down view. Pretty cool. Now, one weakness that I think that Microsoft Flight Simulator has, and I don't know if any of this was addressed in the big 40th anniversary edition, but I find that their road traffic is kind of weak compared to, say, X-Plane. But my goodness, X-Plane, oh my goodness. I have 12, X-Plane 12, and I do load it up occasionally. I loaded it up today, actually, just to make sure I wasn't crazy with the whole helicopter thing. But, and, you know, it's a lot of fun, but it's not this. I'm not bashing on it. But I really hope that they do some catching up in the visuals. It's important. I know people can play it off like it's not important, but it is. Now, their airplanes look great, a lot of detail, and they definitely, some of their third-party providers make some great airplanes. They have what is it, the something digital 172. That thing is fun to fly. It's a little heavy. It flies, I think, a little bit weird. It's a little less forgiving than I think a real 172 is, but it does a better job with the left turning tendencies, which unfortunately Microsoft, I haven't flown the 172 yet to see if any of that's been addressed, but I haven't really liked the left turn characteristics. I find it's not accurate. Not compared to the real thing, and if you're going to get something right, that's something to get right, because I shouldn't have to be applying left pedal during takeoff with the Cessna, especially if I'm on the appropriate runway with the right into the wind and all that. So hopefully they'll get that sorted out, because that new flight dynamic, they applied that to the Cessna G1000 a couple of updates ago, I believe. I'm just kind of getting lower. Again, I'm about 1,700 feet AGL. And from this height, it's just beautiful. Now, I'm not sure, but I don't think the Dreamscape Light augmentation thing applies to out here. I think this is just all Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. I guess I could uninstall it and see. Now from this height, the traffic doesn't look too bad. And I guess that's what they kind of count on, is that you're just looking at it from above, but it does wonky things. It's just kind of annoying. In my hometown, in Alabama, there's a part of a bridge that goes above water, but in Microsoft, it's underwater. And you can see the cars driving under the water, which is, I know, it's a big planet, and what are you going to do? But I don't know, it matters. It definitely matters. I'm going to try to get all the way to the airport, and then I'm going to try to land and see if at least I can land on a big field where I'm not having to... I got to work on that. But that's cool. That's something to work on. That's the challenge, right? To try to get to where you can land in a really small space. And I've seen an interview where they were talking about the whole challenge of adding the heliports and helipads. There's a lot of information out there about airports. A lot of official they have to be registered and all that. I guess it's different with helipads. They said they were having, there's a ton of them, and they have to kind of hunt them down. So not sure how that works. Let's see. Just trying to see what the airspeed is. Anyway, here's O'Hare, big old Class B. There are a lot of helicopters in that sim. I know it's tons and tons of the shiny tubes, but I am officially in Bravo airspace. I've been under the shelf. And I just crossed over, so I would actually be in Bravo airspace right now. So under normal circumstances, I would have to contact Arrival and say, hey, I'm coming in. Let's see how fast I can make this thing. Sync rate is telling me I'm going down. So I have 4 flight running. That's this guy over here. And I'm just going to try to land this anywhere. I'm not even going to, if I can just have one successful landing. I'm just happy to be flying. Now I want to see what the 407 is like. The Bell 407. I haven't flown that since I applied the fix. And again, that fix, if you're having that problem, I don't know how many people it affected. There were so many people that were flying these things on the first day without any problems, or any non-skill problems. And so, but those of us that couldn't fly, it was super disappointing, very frustrating. But it does seem to be, there is a fix, at least for that particular issue. I don't know what it was, why that fix works. I'm just glad somebody found it. Then like I said, maybe they'll address it in an update or a hot fix, so you wouldn't have to do that. Because, like I said, when you try to ask about it, people are just like, it's a skill thing. You can't do it. It's technique, sloppy technique or whatever. So, there's a big old swath of darkness there. So I've got this on my joystick, which has a ton of buttons on it. Seriously, this thing has a ton of buttons. And that's just on the joystick itself. The base also has a lot of buttons too. It's very similar to the Thrustmaster HOTAS setup, the nice one, the Warthog. But it's a company called Win-Wing. And there's some good videos on it out there. I've got one video on it, but there's just tons of stuff. This gear seems really robust. It's super easy to set up. I love it. It does the collective thing, does a great job for helicopters, for how big it is. There's an extension you can get to make the collective a little bit longer, but actually I don't want it to be longer. I want this to be shorter so I can get up kind of in this space where I do my streams and fly my airplanes. I actually have a set of the Puma, the Pro flight controls from ProFlight, I think is the name of that company. And I like them. And it's more of the traditional. It's got the different rudder pedals. It's all built in. It's all one unit. And I do like it, but I gotta be honest, I think I kind of like this setup better. All right, and here we go. I'm just gonna try to land anywhere on these taxiways. So I'm gonna try to level up here, slow up my speed, and that's the hard part. It's the looking down. I lose track of what's under me. Key is just to go slow and to take time, which is what I'm doing. Now if I end up landing on a building or something, it's going to make me crash, but I'm just going to try to come in as slow as I can. Really slow sync rate, which I'm still kind of going kind of fast. Pull up on the cyclic a little bit. Slow my forward speed. Bam, slide. No, that's the thing, right? That's the part that takes practice, landing. That's the part of flying a regular plane too. But anyway, I just wanted to take this thing up in the air and, and have some success with it. And I think this is just awesome. I'm so happy with how this rollout went. One little hiccup, it was a big hiccup for me, but it got solved right away. I haven't had any other problems. My download was fast, the install was fast. I was from 8 a.m. I think my machine picked up the ability to do the update around 8:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it was a 21 gigabyte download, and it just downloaded pretty quickly. I think I was up and running within like 40-45 minutes, and no other complaints. Now Next week I'll try to go through more of my traditional planes that I fly, the Cessnas and that kind of thing. But one thing that I've really identified that I want to start working on, and I'll do more videos of these, is going through these checklists are awesome. That is one of the main reasons why I don't fly some of the bigger planes, is because I don't know how to fly them. I do like the whole checklist idea, but also it's easy to lose track. I've only got so much real estate on my screens, so it's hard to just keep track of everything. I lucked out on the DC-3 last night in that the Baron 58 Air Manager panel gets you like 70% of the way there, and you can enough to fly around on. So that was awesome. So now what I need to do is put together an Air Manager panel for these helicopters and see if I can't come up with something that's workable. But anyway, I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching. If there's any questions, put them in the comments below. And you guys have a great day.